What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now, I know I didn't put out a video last Sunday and I apologize, but truth be told, your boy was in a lot of pain. I was dealing with a bit of a minor injury. I strained a muscle underneath my kneecap to the point I had to take a week and a half off work. It was a complete pain in the ass. There was a good 5 days. I literally couldn't even walk. I had to go down into my cinema room in the basement, and I had to lay down on the couch in one position for 5 days without getting up to rest my leg. It fucking sucked. It was terrible. And I watched a lot of good movies when I was down there trying to make the best of it. I thought about making a video last week on the couch where I was laying talking about what I was watching, but I just was not up to it. I was feeling like shit. So I said, I'll try again next week. So here we are. And anyways, to the video at hand, these are going to be the 5 goriest horror movies. And these aren't the goriest of all time. I'm just going off of stuff that I own in my collection. This is pretty much based off a live stream that Dead Pit Radio did a couple days ago that was pretty fun. They talked about some of the goriest horror movies of all time. And if you don't follow Dead Pit Radio, which I'm assuming you do if you're watching this, because they're pretty much the godfathers of horror talk radio. Really cool guys. They had, it was Crazy Kentuckian and Uncle Bill, and they had Garrett from Born to Be Rad and Christian Hannah Horror from Planet CHH on the channel. I highly suggest checking out any of those YouTube channels. Those guys are really great, do a lot of good stuff. But anyways, I noticed a lot of things they didn't mention that I would have on my list. So I decided to pull these up and talk about them real briefly. And like I said, keep in mind these aren't the goriest horror movies of all time. These are just some I wanted to throw on the list to add on to the one that they made. And I can also do a volume 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Because you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, I hate CGI because it's never done right. And I love practical effects. So when there's some good gore in a horror movie, that's the best shit. So I could talk for days about great practical effects, great horror, great gore, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, let's get into the list. Now, the first one is a DVD. I know what you guys may be thinking. A DVD, that's crazy, because all my shit's usually Blu-ray. I do have some horror DVDs. A lot of times, if you're looking for kind of some exploitation films, some weird shit, some foreign movies, a lot of times these aren't released on Blu-ray. So if you really want to bite the bullet and see some of these, because they definitely aren't streaming, you can pick them up on DVD. And this is a German film, The Burning Moon. This is directed by Olaf, what the fuck's his name? Olaf Ittenbach. So I'd show you the back of this case, but if you could tell from the front, it's pretty gory. They have a lot of really graphic images on the back. This is the one I want to talk about the most in the stream that they were doing. One of the goriest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, this is an anthology film, which follows like this kid who's addicted to heroin. His parents leave him to babysit his little sister, and he tells her some bedtime stories. She wants to hear bedtime stories. He tells some of the most gruesome and brutal stories you would ever hear. And the final act, the final story in this is worth picking this up by itself. I got this off Amazon. I'm sure you could stream this somewhere, YouTube, Daily Motion, or whatever, but I think this was like 10, 15 bucks, and I would suggest picking this up because this final scene alone, if you've ever seen like Event Horizon and want to see the uncut version where he's having all these images of like what looks like Hellraiser type of shit, like the Gates of Hell, they show it in this movie. There's a final act that's 10, 15 minutes long where the guy's taken to hell, where it's all of the most brutal and gruesome shit you'll ever fucking see. Just demons bleeding out of their guts, ripping their heads off, people shooting their heads off, it's like if anybody ever told you, like, imagine what hell is like. It's all the most terrible and gruesome things you'd ever see in your entire life. That's kind of the direction they took with this. A really fucked up movie. Sometimes you gotta just see some of the most fucked up shit if you've seen it all, seen a lot of shit when it comes to horror. And to be honest, this was a pretty fun movie. As violent as it was, I will definitely go back and rewatch it because it was a fun anthology, and the ending is absolutely crazy. There's more that happens after that I won't spoil it for you guys. This one is fucking gory. Next we have one, and this is weird what you define with like gore, like the goriest. Like, is it like a non-stop setting of the gore, or is it just the kills in particular? In that sense, I'm going to go for the kills. This is one a lot of people never talk about, and I love this because it is from Scott Spiegel, I believe. Scott Spiegel? Yeah, Scott Spiegel. He was a friend of Bruce Campbell, Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi. That is Intruder. And this was filmed in Michigan, where I'm from, and it takes place with like in a grocery store. The night stock crew, all the night people working, and this crazy ex-boyfriend breaks into the grocery store and starts killing everybody off one by one. And why I put this on my list, this is one of the funnest movies if you like good practical effects and kills. There is fun kills every 10 minutes, and everything is related to like a grocery store where a guy gets his head crushed in the box baler that crushes all the boxes. Ted Raimi is the produce guy. He gets his head sliced open like a cantaloupe. At one point, they go in the meat department and fucking cut this guy's head off. They do it horizontally, though. So like his bottom mouth is cut off from his teeth. This movie is fucking brutal, and it's, made from a lot of the people that had a lot of stuff to do with Evil Dead and all that friend group and everything. So you can't go wrong there. This is a really fun movie. Next, we have one that is criminally underrated. I did a review about this not long ago, and that is, I will cover this up because they have some titties. That is Flesh Eater. Actually, I ain't gonna cover it. Fuck it, demonetize me. This movie's so much fun. This is written, directed, produced, starring this guy right here. He is the original graveyard zombie in the original Night of the Living Dead, and he pretty much makes an origin story. Now, what's fun about this movie is I don't see many zombie flicks like this, where it's like one zombie that's pulled out of his crypt, and then he starts killing people off, and everybody that becomes zombies are people that you knew earlier in the movie. So it's not just like a random crowd of zombies. This movie threw me off when I first seen it because the first 20 minutes, these kids like start boarding up the house. And I'm like, okay, they're going to fight off the zombies for an hour. This is how these movies go typically. But no, he breaks in, kills every single fucking person, and then they become zombies. And then it just keeps going from there. He makes it into town. He's going all around to parties, killing people. And I would say, I haven't seen this in probably a year or so, a couple of years. I would say he probably kills like 30 people in this movie. And as you could tell from the cover, like he literally rips through this woman's body and tears her heart out. There's tons of gruesome kills. And I think that's why I don't get why people hate on this movie so much, because it's just a lot of fucking fun. It's this one zombie taking off in the first 5-10 minutes, and he just slowly and gradually kills people every 5 to 10 minutes. And the zombie army just builds and builds, and it's just nonstop action. Tons and tons of brutal gore. There's crazy shit in here, like he kills a kid, which is actually his daughter in the film. Lots of brutal shit in here, man. One of my personal favorites is the pitchfork kill. Check this out. It's actually free on YouTube if you want to check it out. Also, I believe it's on Tubi or Pluto. If I stream, that's usually where I go, by the way. I hear people all the time, like on these horror groups I'll follow, like, give me a good horror movie on Netflix. Give me a good horror movie on Peacock. It's like, if you're into the old shit, like from the 70s, 80s, 90s, like, there's not much to choose from, except for like Pluto and Tubi. Those are the best. All right, anyways, now on to number 4. I'm going to use both of these, Terrifier and Terrifier 1. Now, these are a lot of fun. I actually just watched Terrifier 2 for the first time last night, and I actually only seen Terrifier 1 streaming down in my basement like a week ago. And this one is fucked up. We all know about the scene where he hangs the girl upside down, butt naked, and takes a knife and cuts directly through her, all from the vajayjay all the way down through the head. It's fucking brutal. This is pretty much a snuff film, where part 2 has a little bit more of a story, but is equally as brutal. These movies are a lot of fun. Absolutely nasty. I don't gotta say much more, because if you're watching this, you're into horror, you know all about Terrifier 1 or 2. And something I also thought, on a side note, like, when I was down there, I couldn't get up, in my basement, I couldn't get up to switch movies out. All my movies are up here, upstairs, and I thought, you fuckers finally won the streaming argument. The same people say streaming is better than physical media, which I disagree. But I will say, for the convenience sake, if you can't walk, you're going to have to stream. And I've come to a conclusion. It's okay to stream if you're not the biggest fan of cinema or movies. But if you're big into movies, you should get physical media. I think that's kind of like where the balance should be. Like, you could get away with it, because I found stuff to watch, I actually watched all 5 Phantasm movies while I was hurt. So if you guys want me to do a video on that, I gladly would. I've been dying to talk about that shit. Just kind of letting it rest a little bit. I actually just watched Ravager Part 5 today. So I'm going to give it a couple days to simmer before I give my full thoughts on it and anything. But anyways, the final one in my pick, I had to throw a body horror film in here, and this is the one that started it all. This is Street Trash. Now, this is actually the movie that had me start my YouTube channel, because once I started recollecting about 3 or 4 years ago, This is one of the first movies I picked up, and it was just so fucking crazy. I want to talk to somebody about it. And none of my close friends are like as into horror as I am, so I had nobody to talk to about like street trash. So that's why I made my channel. I want to talk horror, and I'm glad that everybody has been watching and subscribed and whatnot. You know, love talking horror with you guys. But anyways, street trash. This is a straight up body horror movie. A lot of fun. It's about these homeless people living in this fucking junkyard, and they're all trying to get boozed up. And the guy that runs the liquor store finds this vapor liquor, all dusty in like a crate in the back, and he sells it for like $1 a piece, these little half pints or whatnot. All the bums start drinking it, but when you drink this liquor, your body starts fucking bubbling up and your whole body explodes and melts and everything. Now, a fun thing with this movie, which I like a lot with the album, with the cover art, like the yellow really hits good on this blue background and everything. All the gore is like yellow and green and slimy and shit like that. It's just fucking nasty, man. And I can't do all body horror, man. It's the reason I didn't buy From the Beyond on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. It's like, I don't know if I need to see that in 4K. It's fucking disgusting. But body horror is normally the shit that'll kind of get me. It's pretty gross, but this one's pretty fun. And it's a lot of fun just to watch people fucking explode and rot and all that shit in movie form. And maybe it's because like the yellow shit kind of like makes it a little easier to watch. I mean, I definitely won't be eating custard anytime after I watch this film, but this one's a lot of fun. It's shot really well, surprisingly. I can't put this movie over enough, but this one is fucking brutal. A dude gets his fucking dick cut off in this movie, and it gets thrown around like like keep away at one point, so there's that too. But yeah, this one's pretty violent, pretty gory, a lot of fun. And yeah, just want to make this little quick video. Those are my top 5 picks. Maybe not my top 5, but 5 picks of gory horror movies I think you should check out. And like I said, if you're into practical effects like I am, I can do a volume 2, 3, etc. I'll keep this train rolling as long as you guys want. Let me know in the comments some of the goriest horror movies you have ever seen. Your favorite horror movies with practical effects. Like I said, there's tons I could have mentioned, but I kind of want to pick ones I didn't mention on the Dead Pit Radio live stream. But anyways, that's about it, guys. I'm going to hop off here. Hopefully everybody's having a good one, staying cool. It's getting hot as a motherfucker here in Michigan, but, you know, got the sleeves off, guns out, you know. Anyways, that's all, guys. Catch you later. Blood, Guts, Gore.